YouTube, what is happening? What is going on? Welcome to Colorado Joe, the Realtor musician. Another episode of Ask a Realtor. Tonight, we're going to ask a realtor, namely me, about title insurance. Now, I don't want to get too into the nitty-gritty on this stuff here because that would be more the realm of a title rep. So, and there's a lot of great title companies here in Colorado, as well as other markets. But I work with some terrific folks at title, so I gathered just some very high level overview stuff. This would be geared maybe towards folks that haven't bought a home before or in a while, and want to know a little bit more about this whole title insurance thing. So let's jump in. Let's dive in. You know the format if you've seen this before. We are live. So if you want to jump in and leave comments live, I'm going to be checking those periodically and circling back to go ahead and respond to those. For right now, though, what I'm going to do is go ahead and share this live channel on social media. And that way folks can go ahead and tune in and here's about some title insurance stuff. If you have questions that are related or unrelated to title insurance, if it's just a real estate question that's not related, then leave it in the chat. Let's talk about it here. We may circle back and focus like a whole segment on your question in the future, but at least we can chat a little bit about it here live tonight. And if you're watching this on repeat, all these are recorded so that you can look back on the previous sessions. So yeah, feel free to do so. And if you're digging the content, you have the option to subscribe to the channel here, and that will keep you in the loop. Here's the loop. Here's you. You're in the loop, and you know what's up. You know when we're going live. Cool. So some of the stuff that we want to talk about tonight. First of all, what is title insurance? Why is it needed? Then we want to differentiate between an owner's policy and a lender's policy. And then we want to talk about price shopping. Can you price shop for the cheapest policy? So let's dive in. Let's get it going on here. Title insurance. What title insurance is? It is an insurance product that protects you, the consumer, against clouds on title for a property that you have an ownership interest in. So let's unpack that a little bit here. A cloud on title, that would be anything that has a negative impact on your claim to owning that property. So for example, let's say that there was a prior owner, and it doesn't have to be the seller, by the way. It could be an owner back in the chain of title that had an heir that might have an ownership claim to that property. That would be an example of a cloud on title. So what the folks do with the title company is they will do a search for anything like that they can find on that property. Other examples of a cloud on title might be a mechanic's lien. Let's say you had a contractor out to finish the basement and there was a dispute and you didn't pay them, they didn't finish the work, whatever. But they may have filed a mechanic's lien. And not saying that it's just you, the owner. This could be back again in the chain of title because title insurance is tied to the land. So there could be a cloud on title from before there was even a structure built on the lot. So title insurance is on the land, not the house. That's another important distinguishment that we want to make here. But basically, when the title company issues a commitment to insure the title, they're going to come back and say, okay, you have requirements A, B, and C. Once those are completed, then we'll issue this title insurance policy, and it will insure you for X amount of dollars, so that if we missed something and something comes up, then you can file a claim on the title insurance. This is why it's needed and why it's necessary. Imagine that you just bought a property and maybe a few months down the road, someone comes out of the woodworks and says, wait a second, you can't own this property free and clear. I have an ownership interest in the property. Well, if that was the case and you didn't have title insurance, that's a hot mess, and it's all on you, buddy. But if you have title insurance, you can at least file a claim and get paid. So yeah, it doesn't make that cloud go away. You still have to, basically at that point, you want to hire a real estate attorney to help you navigate what to do. But at least you're going to have some cash coming in from the title insurance claim payout to be able to handle that legal situation. Let me check in, see how everyone's doing with this. Okay, no comments. That's awesome. Everyone is just on the edge of their seat, probably jaws dropped, just amazed by the information. I love it. Let's keep rocking and rolling then. I'm going to keep this going here, but of course, as we go, if you're tuned in live, you want to throw a comment down, please do. If you have any stories about crazy clouds on title or anything related to that, we'd love to hear about that as well. Anyways, next topic that I wanted to dive into with you guys would be the difference between an owner's policy versus a lender's policy. So when the title commitment is issued, there's going to be an owner's policy and a lender's policy on there. The exception would be is if it's a cash transaction, because there's no lender, ergo no lender's policy. However, most transactions that you are using a lender on, you're going to have a lender's policy. That policy protects the lender's interest in the property, right? Because the lender is going to have a deed of trust, a financial instrument that gives them a claim, that allows them to be in first position on that property for the first mortgage, for example. So if there's a claim to title, what does that do to their first position? It could potentially come in at first position above them, and then they're in second position. They don't want that. So lender's policy is there. That is typically going to be paid by the borrower, which is the buyer, right? Owner's policy. And by the way, everything's negotiable. So I say typical, but not always the case. You can have a seller pay for the lender's policy as well. If that's what you negotiate to get the deal done, that's what you negotiate. Same thing with the owner's policy. Primarily, we're seeing sellers pay for those in this market, but again, that's not a rule. That is an average, right? That's a common thing that we see. However, especially a few months back when the market was super, super hot and buyers were in multiple offer situations bidding well above list price on these properties because there was just no inventory, it was not uncommon for the buyer to step up and say, hey, I'm going to pay you this price. I'm also going to waive my inspection. I'm also going to pay for the owner's policy. So not uncommon for a buyer to pay for it. Just in a standard transaction, it's very common for the seller to pay for that owner's policy. And that is that is the one that we're talking about that protects the owner. And when the ownership is transferred to the new owner, guess what? Then the owner's policy is transferred to them as well. Even though the seller may have paid for it, now it's to the benefit of the buyer. Cool? Now, can I price shop for the cheapest policy? You can, yes. However, what you will find when you do this and you look at different companies is that their prices are all going to be very, very similar. And what you'll see the biggest difference on is going to be actually the closing services fee. So different title companies will have differences in that closing services fee. So that one you can see, substantially hundreds of dollars of difference. You're not going to see a huge difference on the policy because that's largely driven by the market. So I hope that that's a great overview for you guys about title insurance. If you have further questions or you want to share an awesome story about a ridiculous situation pertaining to the title of a property, I love hearing that stuff. We love talking about it on here, and I feel like everyone benefits from the all the combined knowledge that we all have of the market. So that's why we have this kind of open forum here to talk back and forth on the weekly Q&A. Ask a Realtor live on YouTube. I appreciate you guys checking it out tonight. Thank you. I'm your host, Joseph Ausmus with eXp Realty. And if you're thinking about getting into the market, either selling or buying a property, I'd love to set up a consult with you and just talk through your goals and see if maybe we would be a good fit to work together. Appreciate you guys, and I'll check you on the next week's episode. Thanks.